Some seers have made predictions about humanity's future, including Putin becoming a world leader and humans communicating through thoughts and designing babies. Here are 15 prophecies that may come true soon. 15. Mars mission. In the 16th century, there was a French astrologer named Michel de Nostradamus. During his days, he was one of the most recognized fortune tellers because, you guessed it, his predictions often come to pass. Although there is still a long line between whether what he said back then was actually because he was right or just due to coincidence alone. Anyway, people at the time believed him and he got popular for it until the day he died. But before he died, Nostradamus left behind a book he named Les Prophecies. He made 942 predictions, many of which came true. For instance, he predicted the bloodthirsty regime of Adolf Hitler, COVID-19, and even the Apollo 11 moon landing mission, and all these he talked about in the book which he published in 1555. What's even more special about Nostradamus is that many of his predictions often come in the form of poems. Now, inside that same book, Nostradamus wrote that by 2023, celestial fire will fall on the royal edifice when the light of Mars will go out. As of today, Elon Musk and NASA project that it would take about 2029 before man can land his feet on Mars. However, Nostradamus predicted that the first manned mission to Mars will happen a lot earlier than that. Also, he noted that no matter who goes first, the ill fortune of explosions or aircraft crashes may befall them. 2023 is still a long way from ending, so we never can tell if breakthrough or danger is imminent somewhere. 14. The British royal family. As we all know, Queen Elizabeth II is now dead, God bless her memory. But before her death, she was one of the most beloved empresses in history, and one with the longest rule ever in the history of the British crown. Sadly, in 2022, the United Kingdom suffered a major loss, and the British royal family convulsed following her death. Shortly after she died, Nostradamus's Les Prophecies book sold so much that it broke many sales records. At first, it was pretty confusing how a book could be so connected to the Queen's death. But the thing is, Nostradamus's prediction of the Queen's death was relatively correct. However, he didn't stop there. Instead, Nostradamus further predicted that she would be replaced by a king that the people would cast out. Soon afterward, that king would be replaced by a man who never expected to be king. If you remember, we already told you that Nostradamus published his book around 1555. So there's no way he knew who Queen Elizabeth was or how long she'd remain on the throne. Yet he predicted her succession quite well because, as we know, she was replaced by the 96-year-old King Charles III. If everything goes right, King Charles is to be replaced by Prince Harry, who is currently away from the UK. That part makes this event entirely unexpected because, you see, Prince Harry has already resigned from his line of the throne. That place is currently occupied by his brother, Prince William. However, if Nostradamus is to be believed, Prince Harry, despite his resignation, will still be crowned king. Although we'll have to wait till the future to find out. 13. Robo-shopping. Unlike before, many of us prefer to visit either Amazon or eBay to fill our shopping needs. And by the day, this blurs the already thin line that's between online and retail shopping. Although no matter the convenience that online stores bring, some people still prefer to buy things from physical stores for many reasons. To some people, the idea behind physical shopping is to help reduce logistics costs and the waiting period that comes with returning unsatisfactory orders. Also, other people like to see their products firsthand before buying. However, future predictions threw some buzz in the mix. According to some of those predictions, we may never have to shop for groceries or anything else again. That will happen because drones will be available to deliver food, medicine, and other items on demand directly to our homes. These drones would be called delivery drones, and that future has already begun. You see, in 2006, the U.S. government promulgated the Federal Aviation Acts that permitted the commercialization of drones. This law allowed ordinary people and corporate bodies besides the military to own drones. In 2016, Amazon released the world-first delivery drone called Prime Air. For now, Prime Air only delivers packages and orders within 30 minutes or less. But what happens in the future when our technology is much better and everything becomes so digitized that even robots have rights and get lawsuits? Well, the joke's on you. 12. Necromancy. If you said that in a couple of decades we'd be able to speak to the dead, upload our consciousness on a computer, and have mini robots moving through our blood, people would most likely question your sanity. In fact, some may say you watch too much sci-fi and you need to go out a little. But what if you get invited to Bill Gates' house twice so he can draw on your experience about the future of technology? Well, that'll make you a man named Ray Kurzweil. In case you don't know him, Ray is an inventor, a futurist, the lead engineer at Google, and a man whose work with artificial intelligence has dazzled technological sophisticates for nearly 4 decades. Not only that, he invented the flatbed scanner, the first true electric piano, and the first large vocabulary speech recognition software. Every time he delivers a speech, which he has done over 40 times now, he charges about $25,000. Now, a man like that said in the next 30 years, we'll be able to communicate with our dead relatives via virtual reality. Yes, we know, it sounds awkward. But Ray Kurzweil gave an insight into why he thinks it's possible. According to him, we'll be able to scrap human memories and duplicate them on memory drives with the help of nanobots. These memory drives will then be mimicked by AI software that will simulate the personality, voice, and even the intelligence of our dead relatives. So when you talk to these AIs, you won't even realize that you're not talking to your real families. What's even more fascinating about this prophecy is that Ray Kurzweil, as we know him to be, has been right 90% of the time. 11. Telepathy and the social network of brains. Despite the advent of texting and the internet, we humans still find it easier to communicate through speech because we believe that lowering or raising our voices is how we can be heard. Well, there's one crazy prophecy from Ian Pearson that may toss that idea out the window in the future. But first, let's talk to you about Pearson. Pearson is a British futurist who's right about 85% of the time. About 30 years ago, he predicted smartwatches and music subscriptions that today now take the gold in its market, and that's everything we need to know about Pearson for now. About 6 years ago, Pearson made another prediction. According to him, neurotechnology will allow us to communicate using just our thoughts by 2050. To make that happen, he said that humans would need to learn how to put computer chips in our brains. These chips will allow our brains to integrate with advanced cloud computers to which other people will be connected. Over this quantum cloud, we can then send messages and thoughts from one another without saying a single word. So imagine being able to talk to, learn from, send messages, or perhaps be able to download another person's skills just by surfing your mind through the entire world database. This database would be called the Hybrid Intelligence Biometric Avatar, or simply HIBA. It sounds silly today, yes, but so are all the prophecies that came true. 10. Vladimir Putin, the Lord of the World. In the Rupite area of the Koju Mountains in Bulgaria, you will find the gravesite of an old grandmother named Baba Vanga. Her real name was Angelina Pandeva Gushtarova, and during her days, she was blind right from her childhood. Despite her predicament, Baba Vanga was known as a mystic and a seer who predicted some of the most shocking events in the world. For instance, she predicted the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Chernobyl disaster, the date of Stalin's death, the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk, the September 11th attacks, Topolov's victory in the World Chess Tournament, and the tensions that are happening in North Korea today. From her past predictions, it's easy to see that Baba Vanga often sees natural disasters and warns about conflicts before they happen. Before her death, people who knew her claimed she also predicted the Russian war in Ukraine and that Vladimir Putin would become so powerful that Russia would become unstoppable. Literally, she said that Vladimir Putin would become the Lord of the world and that Russia would become the world superpower. When this will happen, no one knows, but Baba Vanga predicted this alongside the Ukraine war. On the contrary, some other so-called mystics like her believed that Vladimir Putin would be assassinated by his own people very soon. We guess the answer to who's right lies in the near future. We can only hope that she's not right because she also predicted World War III as well, and she supposedly noted that nuclear weapons would be used. 9. Solar tsunami. As said earlier, many of Baba Vanga's prophecies are usually about tragic incidents, and this next Baba Vanga's forecast is full of further doom and gloom. According to her, a solar tsunami could take place in 2023, where the Earth's magnetic shield will be fatally destroyed. When that happens, Those storms will cause blackouts and communication failure by sending electrical charges as powerful as nuclear bombs from the sun directly to Earth. If that happens, it can cause humans to move back to the Dark Ages, and some scientists argue that this prediction may actually come true if necessary precautions are not put in place. According to those scientists, our sun could be waking from its decade-long sleep, and this could lead to issues on Earth. For instance, one Dr. Erica Palmerio noted that a magnetic filament near the equator of the sun is bustling with a huge amount of magnetic field lines. This means that it can soon erupt and send another wave of the solar storm towards our planet. If this streamer goes out, the resulting electromagnetic surge can disrupt various systems, including the power grid and GPS signals. These episodes, known as solar maximums, happen approximately every 11 years and have not been a significant concern in the past. However, with our continued reliance on technology, they can cause a major blackout that can kill millions. For now, though, it is uncertain whether the flares will explode while in the view of Earth or not. 8. The Prophecy of St. Malachy. In the 1100s, St. Malachy was the Archbishop of Armagh, Ireland. Reportedly, he made a visit to Rome in which he had a vision of the future popes and wrote them down. All in all, the prophecy consists of a list of 112 short enigmatic mottos in Latin that are supposed to represent the popes from St. Malachy's time onward. However, the prophecy did not make its debut until about 400 years after Malachy's death. But many people believe that the prophecies written therein have been true. Among these prophecies, the last one is likely to happen if it hasn't already. This is because, according to Malachi, the last pope will be called Peter. He will be the one that puts the Roman Church into tribulations, and he will indicate the final pope at the end of the world. At first, the issue of the prophecy died down a little until Pope Benedict XVI was near the end of his papacy, and another pope took over. No sooner did this new pontiff announce his name as Francis than some prophecy experts took to the airwaves, claiming that the new pope is Peter the Roman. They also argued that despite claiming to be an Argentine cardinal named Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the new pope has Peter somewhere in his birth name, and that Pope Francis really is a Roman, since his parents are Italian immigrants who moved to Argentina. To find the truth in that, the future is the only route. 7. Designer babies. In another one of her prophecies, Baba Vanga also predicted that from 2023, human babies would be born in labs where their physical appearance and character can be controlled, completely altering the process of birth. While that might sound far-fetched, we have very good reasons that this may actually become true if it hasn't been happening already. So let's tell you some recent stories. You see, on February 19, 2020, a baby reportedly became the first in the world to be born after a woman's eggs were matured in a laboratory before being frozen. According to the French fertility doctors who made the breakthrough, the baby boy was born to a 34-year-old woman 5 years after her eggs were extracted as an aftermath of chemotherapy that prevented her from making more eggs. So, the scientists removed 7 immature eggs from her ovaries and then used a method called in vitro maturation, IVM, to help mature the eggs in a lab. Then again, in 2022, a biotechnologist in Germany began to develop the world's first artificial womb facility. This facility lets you choose a baby's characteristics from a menu, and it is called EcoLife. For now, the proceedings of EcoLife are still under the question of ethics, but it hopes to grow 30,000 babies a year soon. So Baba Vanga may just be right on this one. 6. No car owners. According to Benjamin Clark, a professor of planning and public policy at the University of Oregon, most people will not need or want to own cars within the next 15 years or so. As for his predictions, he believes that his words are way beyond prophecies, and he is confident that he is right. In his defense, he stated that the sales of cars are plummeting around the globe. In Germany, for example, car sales slumped by 30.5% compared to the same month last year, and fewer people are buying from automobile giants like Audi, Porsche, and Volkswagen. By 2030, it is expected that private car ownership will drop by 80% in the U.S., and that the number of passenger vehicles on American roads will go from 247 million as it was in 2020 to 44 million. By that time as well, the use of electric ride shares will be 4 to 10 times cheaper than buying a new car in 2021. This means that in the future, each family could save up to $5,600 per year compared to purchasing and maintaining a traditional vehicle. Also, there will be a lot of driverless self-driving cars, which will be a lot less expensive than owning your own car. In fact, some of these may be free sponsored by corporations, though you will have to listen to ads if you want a free ride. In the future, they will be called AVs, or autonomous vehicles, and that future may be nearer than we thought. 5. Fighting cancer. One of the most recognized theoretical physicists in the world today is named Michio Kaku. In 2021, he noted that while we currently don't have cures for horrible diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and some stages of cancer in the future, we will use magic bullets to fight cancer using nanomedicine. That means that in the future, we will be able to use individual molecules in the cells that can target individual cancer cells using nanotechnology. When that happens, the next big thing is that we will make our toilets so intelligent that they become our first line of defense against cancer. According to Michio, this will be possible because our bodily fluids contain signatures of cancer colonies of maybe a few hundred cancer cells years before a tumor forms. These colonies can take up to 10 years to grow, and you won't know it until the tumor has actually formed. According to Michio, our future generations will have the capability to make DNA chips that allow us to search for these signatures of cancer at a very early stage. So in other words, one day your toilet will tell you that you have cancer, and you'd have 10 years to do something about it. That, according to Michio, mean that in the future, the word tumor will disappear from the English language because we will have years of warning that there is a colony of cancer cells growing in our body. Then, our descendants will wonder how we could fear cancer so much because cancer to them is going to become like the common cold. 4. Robo-men. Today, the science behind cyborgs is no longer a mystery. But to understand the future, we need to first understand the past, apply it to the present, and extrapolate the knowledge gained to the future. So, 1 million years ago, there were different species of man on Earth, and the most advanced one of all was the Neanderthal. Back then, Neanderthals had to hunt for fruits and meat the crude way. 10,000 years ago, modern man adapted to agricultural living to produce plentiful food. Likewise, we also managed to use science for solving health problems. As a result, we became fatter. In some areas, we became taller. And overall, of course, we became smarter. Today, we are so smart that for the most powerful computers to simulate just 1 second of our brain activity, it would need 705,024 processor cores, 1.4 million GB of RAM, and 40 minutes. However, in the future, experts believe that artificial intelligence will match up to human thinking and do things that current Homo sapiens would only dream of. But so will future humans. Because then, we'd have miniaturized robots called nanobots swimming around our bodies and enhancing our natural abilities. As such, our bodies would no longer be limited to what biology can do. In one word, future humans are likely to become robo-men. The possibilities of that alone are pretty incredible to think about. And with the current use of nanobots in nanomedicine and cancer fighting, that future might be sooner than we think. 3. Free energy. Currently, our world is being powered by a nuclear fusion reactor we call the Sun. Unfortunately, though, it is located 150 km away from Earth, and we haven't figured out a way to tap its power directly. In the future, however, scientists predict that we might be able to recreate the Sun here on Earth. But to produce the energy of the Sun, you would need a nuclear fusion reactor that can withstand long exposure to very hot plasma. Even if you can solve that, another problem will be about sustaining the strong magnetic field needed to keep the plasma in place. Of course, building such a thing will be very expensive. But then again, they believe that humans would have become much smarter in the future, and we will have a lot of help from robots by that time, and our descendants would be able to produce at least 500 megawatts of power within a few hundred seconds, and would be very cheap to buy. Now the thing is, before now, many believe that this prophecy will take a long time for it to become true. But you see, different scientists from way back have been working on this, and they almost had a breakthrough. One of them is our own Nikola Tesla. In his work, he made a machine that could generate endless free energy from the empty space around us, and according to scientists today, a teacup of it would be enough to boil the ocean around us completely to steam. In fact, the power you can get from it depends on what you want. Whether you want to power a small watch with it, or you want to power the entire world. What's even more is that these systems exist somewhere in some government black site, and if it could be done, then what's stopping the prophecies about free energy from becoming true? 2. The dawn of superconductivity. So far, one thing we've learned about future predictions is that the future would be a world of opportunities. It's going to be a world where ultra-fast levitating cars and trains zap from one place to another, or where carbon-free aircraft crisscross the skies, and all these would be powered by small superconductors that operate at ambient pressure and room temperature. Yeah, that sounds like Hollywood fiction, right? Well, we know. But bear with us here because that future might even be nearer than we think. You see, superconductors are materials capable of conducting electricity without resistance when cooled close to absolute zero. These superconductors form great barriers to magnetic fields, and that means, with a temperature as low as 100 Kelvin, you can power even an entire levitating train without losing any energy at all. This happens because these materials allow electrons to pair up and coalesce into a massive quantum wave that flows in coherent motion without losing any form of energy. For now. We know this because scientists have unlocked the working principle behind these superconductors since 1911. On the flip side, we still don't have enough brainpower to use them the way we want just yet, and many scientists believe that will take years. However, in 2022, a company called Klein Vision built an air car which took 30 years to complete. As of today, this flying car has been successful in all 200 takeoffs, 70-hour-long vigorous testing, and uses just one, 6L gasoline power. That means that the scientific prophecy about flying cars all over the world will soon become true. 1. Cannibals on Earth. For this one, let's revisit the prophecies of Nostradamus. For the year 2023, Nostradamus in his book claimed that there will be a breakdown in the food supply chain as a result of the pandemic, which can either be due to war or climate change. According to some prophecy experts, this prophecy was specifically referring to the war in Ukraine. As we all know, Putin has placed severe blockades on shipments of grain out of the war-torn country. Because of that, the cost of food has soared in Ukraine, and many are living way below the poverty line. If Nostradamus is to be believed, then people will start eating one another like cannibals to survive. For now, nothing of such has been recorded in Ukraine. But if the war continues, who knows? Well, according to some other factions, they believed that Nostradamus was referring to the Horn of Africa, where drought has ravaged for the past 40 years. Over time, food prices have skyrocketed, and coupled with the political instability going on in the region, about 36.4 million people are suffering from hunger, and almost 21.7 million require food assistance. Although in these areas, famine has yet to be officially declared, it is still projected to occur in 2023. And on this one, Nostradamus may be right. See you next time.